Did you know that everything you believe about Pokémon probably isn't true? With the franchise as big and expansive as it is, it's basically impossible to remember and memorize everything about it. And every so often, I will even notice myself that something in the games isn't the way I had remembered it for whatever reason. And I know I'm not alone in this kind of experience, which is why today I wanted to cover 6 things in Pokémon that you very well might believe that simply are just not true. This is a pretty fun one, so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, there actually is a little more ado, cause I wanted to shout out my Spotify really quick. Basically, my Pokémon remixes that are available to listen to on Spotify and other music streaming services helps out the channel massively. Like, seriously, massively. And it's just listening to Pokémon music, so it's an insanely easy way to help out the channel if you like what I do here. So if you do, consider checking out my music on whatever streaming service you use, and if you are already, thank you so much. Okay, with that, there is officially no more ado to be had, and I mean it this time, so let's go ahead and get into it. The first fallacy you may well believe about Pokémon that is simply untrue is that the level of a wild Pokémon affects your chances of catching it. We have all stocked up on Ultra Balls before when preparing to head to an area with high-leveled Pokémon, simply because needing a strong Pokéball to catch a strong Pokémon just makes sense, but the truth is that most of the time, a Pokémon's level has nothing to do with how hard it is to catch. This seems like it would be the case, which is why it could be an easy thing to assume or even believe, but in reality, the only main factors in catching a Pokémon are its health, whether it has an active status condition, and the type of Pokéball you are using against it. There are also specific factors that feature in individual games, such as O powers in Pokemon X and Y, or Rotom powers in Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon, but not the level of a Pokemon. The only time that level actually does play a factor in the difficulty of catching a Pokemon is when you are using a level ball or within the Generation 8 games, as according to Bulbapedia, a couple of level-related multipliers were newly added to the capture equation in this generation. Although, this might only apply to Pokemon Sword and Shield and not Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl or Legends Arceus, as that game in particular basically has an entirely different capture method of its own. This one is honestly really easy to just assume is the case though, cause it just seems to make sense like I mentioned earlier. In fact, the only thing that made me realize otherwise was when I came across this fact while doing research, which is why it made it into this video. But prior to Gen 8, it basically was not a thing at all outside of using the level ball. Our next untrue fact has to do with type effectiveness. Remembering how every single one of the 18 types interacts with each other can be hard for even the most experienced Pokemon players, so everyone is prone to a mix-up every now and then, but also there are some certain type effectivenesses that are just not the way they seem like they should be. For example, if you hadn't played a Pokemon game in a bit, you'd probably go ahead and use an Ice-type attack against a Bug-type Pokemon, thinking that it would be super effective. But it's actually not. Even though that should absolutely be a thing, and frankly, Ice-type needs all the help it can get, the Ice-type is not super effective against Bug. Furthermore, Ice also doesn't resist the Water-type, which it seems like it should considering ice is literally frozen water, which can make it easy to believe or assume. It's not just the ice type that this happens to though, as the electric type doesn't resist water either. Since electric is super effective against water, you might assume that it is also resistant to it, as is the case with many other types. But in this case, electric is only strong to water and not resistant to it. Finally, probably the most significant one in this category is that the rock type is not immune to electric type, and for that matter, doesn't even resist it. This one is a very common misconception that was created by a lot of young people, such as myself, playing Pokemon Yellow, where you start with an electric-type Pikachu, and your first gym battle in that game obviously being against Brock, who specializes in rock types. If you use any electric-type attacks against him with Pikachu, they'll be completely ineffective. But this is because all of Brock's Pokemon in this game are also part ground type, which is immune to electric, which allows for the confusion. This mix-up has been experienced by tons of fans, including me, and 25 plus years later, I am still having to remind myself every now and then that I can use electric moves on rock types and they will work. So yeah, this one is easily one of the most commonly believed untrue Pokemon facts that are out there. Another one that I have personally experienced, that I know others have as well because I've seen it talked about on Twitter, has to do with the move Last Resort. This is a normal type move whose description states that it can only be used when all of your Pokemon's other moves have been used as well. I never bother learning this move whenever my Pokemon have the chance to learn it, because why would I want to have a move that I can only use when I've used up all the PP of all my other moves? That situation would almost never happen. And that's probably why that's not what this move actually does. While its description and the name, Last Resort, really makes it sound like you have to be out of all other moves in order to use it, Last Resort only requires you to have used all your other moves once. They don't have to be completely used up. As I said, I have literally passed up learning this move multiple times, believing this exact thing. So I was a bit shocked to find out that I have been living a lie this whole time, and if you are in a similar situation hearing this now, well, all I can say is I feel your pain. Moving along, when it comes to the god of the Pokemon world, Arceus, one of its signature traits is that it's able to be any one of the 18 types thanks to its various plates. Whatever plate it's holding will determine its type, but if you've ever thought that there was a plate that represented each type because of this, you would be flat out wrong. Up until the release of Pokemon Legends Arceus, an Arceus plate for the normal type did not exist. Reason being that Arceus is a normal type by default. It was only just added in Legends Arceus, and only due to the fact that there are no held items in this game. Therefore, Arceus needed a way to be able to revert to the normal type after using one of its other plates. Since Arceus can be any type and the plates are what determines its types, many have probably subconsciously assumed that a normal type plate had been there all along. But the truth is, it did not exist at all until just barely with the release of Legends Arceus. Here's one that's short and sweet, but is also a bit of a smack in the face. Wormadam is a Pokemon who, as you might know, has 3 forms: a Grass-type form, a Ground-type form, and a Steel-type form, which coincide with its various cloaks. Its pre-evolution, Burmy, also has these forms, but the thing is, Burmy doesn't have the different types. So if you tried to use a water-type move on the rock and dirt-covered sandy cloak Burmy, it wouldn't be super effective, because that makes sense, right? This one is just so deceptive that it's obviously easy to believe otherwise, so I'm sure it's duped more than a couple people, especially recently, while playing the newly released Sinnoh games. Finally, we have a big one that has only recently been rectified amongst the general public of the internet. It's commonly known amongst the Pokemon community that Pokemon's creator, Satoshi Tajiri, has Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism. This has been reported by countless people and even prominent news agencies, and I've even mentioned it once or twice, but some recent research by Did You Know Gaming has revealed that this claim is most likely completely untrue. The idea of Tajiri having Asperger's has spread like wildfire on the internet over the years and has never really been disputed as being untrue, leading even more people to bring it up, which is what has made the idea so widespread. But, as Did You Know Gaming discuss in their video on the subject, tracing the claim back to its very roots reveals that none of it is based on actual truth. As they reported, even a Game Freak employee has communicated by email that Tajiri does not have autism or Asperger's, and requested that this info be taken down from the website they were emailing. The fact that Tajiri is so reclusive, however, and rarely if ever makes public appearances, doesn't make this any easier to refute, and even contributes to the idea, as these are traits that can be associated with Asperger's syndrome. But if an actual Game Freak employee has claimed that Tajiri has neither this nor general autism, as Did You Know Gaming have reported, I think this can pretty much be put to bed. You can check out their whole video on the subject, which will be linked within the description below, but for all intents and purposes, based on this research, it seems that this story about Tajiri has effectively been debunked. So, those were 6 things about Pokemon that you believe that are not true. How many of these did you or have you believed though? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you know of any other things like this that are similar. Also, be sure to leave the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Pokemon content all the time. With that said, I will be back with another video very soon, and until then, as always, thank you all so much for watching this one, I love you very much, and I will smell you guys later.